I'm going to start recording. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Norfolk. This is our virtual meeting. We are happy that we're together. I see that.
I can hear you after you rang the bell.
Pardon? What was that? Okay.
I think Chuck said he couldn't hear you after you rang the bell.
Oh, really? Can everyone hear me now? I hope so. All right. So chat is sort of available on the side when we come to Happy Bucks or anything else you want to say, or after we have our speaker and you want to ask questions. We'll sort of see how that goes, because we can go through chat or we can allow you to, sort of take turns asking questions. I'm going to start by asking Bob Healy to unmute his mic. And in our own tradition, I ask him to start up our meeting.
Okay, President Lorna and Pam, take your mask off. I want you all to join me in this uplifting song, especially when we say it's going to be a bright, bright, sunny day. Are you ready? I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are those dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright,
sunshiny day.
It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. I think I can make it now, the pain is gone. All of those bad feelings have disappeared. There is that rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a
bright,
bright,
sunshiny day.
Look all around, there's nothing but blue skies. Look straight ahead, there's nothing but blue skies. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. There is that rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright,
Bright,
sunshiny
day.
One more time. It's gonna be
a bright,
bright,
sunshiny day.
Okay.
That was wonderful, Bob. Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Or mute.
Okay, thank you very much, Bob. That was wonderful. Okay, can you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, so I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United
States of America.
And to the republic
for which it stands,
one
nation,
nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do Is it the truth?
the truth? Is it fair to all
Fair of all
concerned?
concerned.
Will it
Will
build
it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all
beneficial to all
concerned?
concerned? And as Bob Healy says, will it be fun?
Be fun.
Okay, if you can mute your mics, I'll accept Joe New. Joe, will you give us our invocation today?
Yes. I want to share some words from Helen Keller. Although the world is full of suffering, it is also full of overcoming of the suffering. My optimism then does not rest on the absence of evil, but on a glad belief of the preponderance of good and the willing effort always to cooperate with the good that it may prevail. Thank you for this opportunity to gather together in this electronic format. Thank you for the people that have been helping us in these trying days, the grocery store clerks, the policemen that continue to work, the garbage men that continue to carry our garbage away. We're very blessed to live in this culture, even though we are in trying times. And please bless the people at the food bank that are trying to help those most in need. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. Joey, can you unmute your mic and talk to us about our visitation and about our members?
I sure will. I'd like to thank, for starters, all the members of the board, plus Barb Lifflin and Linwood Beckner for making all the calls to check on all the members to make sure everyone was doing okay. And we got a lot of great reports from them. And just a few updates that Fred Walker is now home. And Jack Kavanaugh. Linwood reports that he's progressing well. And that they enjoyed drinks together on Linwood's front steps last night. So sounds like the Jack we know and love. There were two members that we had a bit of problem finding, and one was Kay Kemper, but we found her on the west coast of Florida where they've been since last fall, and we're planning to return, but now they will stay down there until they're able to return. We had even more trouble finding honorary member Jerry Adamson, but he actually responded to Lorna's email just this week. And he replied that he's doing fine at 92. He lives in Chapel Hill in the winter and up in the mountains in Linville, North Carolina in the summer. He was currently visiting friends down in Miami and got caught in the quarantine. So he's kind of just hanging out down there until he can get back. He said he remembers his Rotary days in Norfolk with great pleasure, a super club, and best to all of you and great memories. I'm also, however, saddened to report that we lost three very special people since we last met. Longtime club member Nancy Chandler died on March the 27th. Alice Massey left us on April the 6th. And just last Thursday, Sharon Laderberg's mother, Arlene Kessler, died. So we like to remember and celebrate their lives today as well. That's all I have, Lorna.
Thank you, Joey. Thanks for doing that. And thanks to the board and everybody who's been making those calls. I was looking at whether we have guests on this besides our own Rotary members, and I see one on there. Ashley, would you unmute yourself and say a word?
Sure. Yeah. Hi, welcome. I'm glad everyone is able to come to the Zoom meeting and that you guys still use the Facebook page. I think most of you know my last event with Norfolk was last summer's Suds and Buds. And then I moved my family. I finished my PhD. I started a new job. I was mobilized back on active duty. And here I am with everybody else stuck in the middle of a pandemic. So very fortunate for technology. I'm a part of the Crystal City Pentagon Rotary Club, which is teeny tiny compared to Norfolk, but we've done our last 4 or 5 meetings on Zoom, and I've made more meetings since the pandemic started than I have since the New Year's. So silver lining. But thanks for having me. I'm glad Sally sent me the link.
Oh, it's great to see you. Great to see you. Thanks for joining us,
Thank
Ashley.
you.
Do we have any other guests on? I don't think so. Anyway, okay, so today's scribe, we do have a scribe today because we want to give Seeger and Bill Clendenning something to do when they're for rotation. So there's our scribe, Sally Hartman.
I'm here on my phone since something's wrong with my computer, but we have
Okay.
ways.
All right. Well, we'll record this, so if you need any help.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Okay, thanks for doing that for us.
Oh, happy to. Happy to.
All right. Chet Robinson, do you want to tell us about some new members we have in the last few days?
I'm very glad to. I've been had the occasion to be asked by our leading president to work with the Zoom and induct a young man, Brian McGuire, into the club. And that was a lot of fun the way that worked. And we're making the best of a rough time. And I think we see Brian on here today and truly welcome him aboard. He's hails originally from the Chicago area. The Navy brought him here and they found one of Norfolk's best. And it sounds like he's destined to stay in this area, and he's working towards finishing his undergraduate degrees at Old Dominion, and is very interested in becoming engaged in the community and being contributory. So Brian, really look forward to having you around. Also, Steve Kirkland, the Executive Director of Nauticus that I had occasion to meet when he spoke to us not long ago, was inducted. He was sponsored by John Paget and Michael Desplaines, and somebody who really understands the Norfolk market and what's going on. I think he's a great addition to our Norfolk club. And Stephen, if you're online, welcome around. And the last and certainly not the least is Chris Bugg. His mentor is Jim Kitts. He's sponsored by John Paget. And boy, does he have a Rotary pedigree in that his grandfather was president of International Rotary in 1929 and 30. Boy, that was in the Depression. That was a tough time in life. So I look forward to meeting Chris. I have not met him, but welcome around to all you guys. And we look forward to the time when we gather back at our meeting spot.
Thanks, Chick. That was really good. When we get back together, we'll have a special ceremony for all of those people that are new members and we never got to, greet them and wrap them in a warm hug when we get back together. Jim Kitts, can you talk about the food bank for a minute?
Yes, just wanted to let everyone know that we launched our food bank initiative late last week, or actually middle of last week. And we like to announce that as of Friday, we sent the food bank $4,750 so far. Our intention is that every Friday we will accumulate what has been donated from our members, apply the match from Norfolk Rotary Charities, and send more money over to the food bank. The really nice thing about the $4,750 is that the food bank is able to use that money to purchase approximately $28,000 worth of food. As most of you are probably aware, the food bank is under tremendous stress from two ends. One is that the demand has gone tremendously higher, and also their sources have gone lower with schools being out of session, with demand at supermarkets being higher than expected. So a lot of their sourcing has come under pressure. So the money is well needed and is going to a great use. And I applaud all of our members for participating in the campaign.
Thanks, Jim. That's really helpful. I don't know whether Rachel is online. Rachel, are you online? If not, I think you all received a message. For those of you who are able and interested, I know some of you are thinking about, you know, how you could do some service over at the food bank. They have changed their requirements, but you should also keep in mind that if you volunteer to go there, we have a date of May 7th. But you need to be able to squat, pivot, bend, and lift at least 35 pounds. So give yourself a workout before you go to make sure you can do that or sign up.
Sounds like a Navy physical readiness test, right, Ashley?
Anyway, they only are allowing, you know, 7. So there's a restricted amount of people that can sign up, but pay attention, the email went out today. I was going to collect some happy bucks, but I want to make sure that our guest speaker gets some time. If you want to contribute happy bucks, why don't you just chat on the side there? And if not, hang on when our speaker is finished, then we'll give you some time to do that. But I'd like to introduce our one and only, our pride, you know, Greg Bockheim from the Virginia Zoo. I've asked him to be our first virtual speaker, and I'm going to hand the mic, and I'll mute myself and let you take over, Greg. Are you there?
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. Thanks, Lorna. You can imagine that the zoo's pretty much a ghost town right now. We've been closed now for, 5 weeks? And you may also know that we're a hybrid organization of half operated by the city of Norfolk and half by the Virginia Zoological Society Foundation. So it's been pretty interesting. I would say it's been pretty traumatic for, you know, most of the staff here. And then I think even for the animal collections, it's super unusual. We have more than 700 animals that do live here. And last year we had 483,000 visitors. So you can imagine, you know, a day when you'll have 4,000 to 5,000 people in the zoo, suddenly you have no one. All of our office staff are telecommuting and only coming in when they may have to do payroll once a week or pay bills once a week. But otherwise, I feel like I'm the only one here most of the time, aside from the animal care folks. So we have 27 people that work in animal care, from our veterinarian to vet techs to our zookeepers. And they are working an alternating shift. So they've been split in two in case one of those teams gets the virus. There's another team that can take over. So they've split those shifts and they're working alternating weeks. So it's really unusual. People are super busy doing really double duty in that animal care area. But to kind of look at the numbers of what we're looking at from our Zoological Society Foundation side, this quarter, they're losing about $450,000. And from an admission standpoint, this is our busiest time of year with spring break. For spring break week, we'd have 20,000 kids in the zoo and their chaperones. Our admissions loss is about $900,000 for these 3 months to July. And then we have about $1 million in expenses on top of all of this. And about 225,000 visitors in these 3 months. So it's pretty remarkable. It's across the industry. We're accredited by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, as is the Virginia Living Museum and Aquarium. So it's really hit us pretty hard. But we did just find out today that we got our PPP loan in the second installment of those funds for our foundation side. So that will keep us afloat on that side. And we'll just see how long this lasts. So what I've been doing with my time is really kind of keeping us on track, having my meetings with the finance departments of both the city of Norfolk and our foundation side. We're keeping all of our staff here, of course, very safe. Our animals are not suffering in any way. They're receiving the same amount of care and enrichment and in training that they have throughout. So we're good in all of our animal care departments, and they're still getting any medical care that they might need. We've had some great births. Just in the past 2 weeks, we've had 2 bongos born. You may have seen on our website or our Facebook page that we had a baby Malayan tapir just before the city shut down. He's adorable, and you can go and watch those, the video of those animals on our website. We had a baby sloth that was just named. It's our first sloth ever at the zoo, so that's super exciting. We began a strategic planning process with a zoo and aquarium consultant about 7 months ago, and we've carried on with that, working in our working groups, focusing on our core mission and strategies moving into the future, which I would have to say are really being part of that strategic plan now has been really beneficial for us, because really coming out of this, we're going to be a different organization really altogether. And we know what really impacts our industry nowadays is its visitors' experience on our zoo grounds. So we're working on enhancing the zoo visitor experience, increasing our messaging on zoo grounds. So when the zoo does reopen, you'll see a lot of those differences right on the property. And I just talked to Michael Desplaines yesterday about what the activity has been like at the Botanical Gardens. He's been able to remain open because he's listed as an agricultural facility. We're not the same, so we haven't been able to remain open. But then I also met with the Living Museum and the aquarium operations and directors to talk about what reopening looks like. And for us, that looks like, you've seen in the news a lot of various phases, making sure that our staff and visitors have that personal protective equipment. We're not going to be able to have any of our indoor buildings open. Michael has even gone to porta-johns. I'm hoping that we're not going to have to do that, because 60% of our visitors are kids. You can imagine not having a porta-john. I think they'll just pee in the bushes if you don't have a bathroom open. But our restaurant and gift shop will have outdoor remote sites. We'll put up some items for social distancing. So it should be really interesting for us. And then another part of my day, what I really, because it does feel like a ghost town and you really miss out on those smiles of your visitors when you do work at a zoo, I've been spending my time being creative. Over the past 4 weeks, I've built a waterfall and pool in our new conservatory, which involves cement dyes and mixing cement, and then a whole filtration system. And that conservatory is planned to open this summer, and that'll be a tropical bird room that's attached to our reptile building. So fortunately, we're lucky to move ahead with a lot of the projects like that. And so anyway, a lot of our time is taken up with webinars in our own Zoom meetings. So we've all kind of figured out that system pretty well, like I'm sure all of you have. And I would say that I've never taken part in more webinars that really require you to think differently. You're really, I think in times like these, like I remember the downturn in the economy in 2008 really created a synergy of a lot of the different venues within the city of Norfolk, from the restaurants and hotels to the museums and all of the entertainment venues like us. So I think this downturn is really going to force us all to really think about what we can do better. So I think there are kind of breakthroughs in our thought processes, and we need to be more creative to get more back on track, to become a more deliverable organization, I think, to our community. So I'm pretty excited about those sort of things. I'm more the creative person. You can see a lot of my office behind me is a lot of brightly colored objects. So, which I guess leads me into, Lorna, that where we could do a spot of fun things you find in our offices.
Sure.
All right, well.
Tell us.
Look behind me. I like glass things. This is something I got from the, if you can see this, it's a roasted chicken made at the Chrysler Museum Glass House. If you ever go in there and they have the member sale, bought this roasted chicken. It weighs a ton for $10 at their sale. I also have a giant candy corn over there and a cow's heart. So I go in there and buy all the unusual things. This was made for me by a senior at Portsmouth High School. She calls it the origins of trash. I think she did. It's kind of in the likeness of me. You can see it has a soda bottle popping out of its head, but she calls it the origins of trash. It's kind of a half cut off head that rests right over here. One of my favorites are my my dung dudes. I may have shown these to you before. These are made by a dung artist at the Kansas City Zoo, made from elephant dung. He names them all. This is Wacky Jack. I have about 10 of these I've collected over the past decade, but you can see on the bottom there's a brown spot and the date, but just super creative, crazy person that makes these unusual things. What else have I got? I've also got a picture of my kids at the 2008 in Boardwalk Art Show. If you've ever been to that, great show. And then 12 years later with our favorite artist at the same show. I've also got beer. We've got our own beer. We've got our own beer at Connor Brewing. It's Lizard King Ale with our logo on the back. So we're coming up with a new brew in 3 different dragon lizards. It's supposed to come out next month. I think that's about everything. This is my newest acquisition from the Fire Studio. This is giant candy corn that I bought at the last sale. So you can't beat going to that sale if you're looking for a unique gift for anyone. Be a member so you get in an hour early, but I'll beat you there and get the crazy stuff. But I think that I've got plenty more. If you're ever in my area, I've got lots of other stuff in my office that's pretty exciting, and I'm in the big building out front. So if you're ever at the zoo, I thank everybody for being supporters of the zoo. I know a lot of you contribute to the various functions that we have here. Hopefully we'll be back on track. Like Michael had mentioned, that we may not be doing anything from a crowd perspective until the fall at the earliest. So this year almost feels like a wash. Although we're moving ahead with, we're putting together a capital support project now that what we found in this down tour is that our technology on zoo grounds really is not good. You know, we're not able to sell online tickets. You can't really order your food at our restaurant on your phone, say, before you get there. So you have to wait in line. So we're looking forward to putting together, bundling really what all of our technology needs are. That will also include, for me, the most important thing are those animal cameras in exhibits, so you can watch from home what all the animals are doing. And now they even make cameras that are in a dome, fit in your exhibit, and the animals can climb all over them. So I'm really hoping that we'll have some good success in creating a greater connectedness through our digital and social media. Which what really has stopped for us is the fiber optics in Norfolk stop at Granby Street, just about a quarter of the mile down the road from us. So we don't have good Wi-Fi reception and those sorts of things. And it does require, you know, like a $100,000 dig to get all the way to the zoo to improve that connectivity. But I think that's about everything I have. Does anybody have any particular questions about what's going on at the zoo or what we're doing? We did furlough 45 people before April when the whole virus struck. So we do have 45 folks that are out there. The zoo has about 97 staff overall. You might know that the city's budget gap is $40 million, and the city has to balance its budget every year. You can't go into debt like the federal government. So there are going to be some dramatic actions, I think, or all I know, on our city side, and then our Zoological Society, being a nonprofit, will also have some big challenges in the very near future for us, I think, by the time we come out of this over the next month.
Mm-hmm. Did I hear mention that you're going to try and do a district tour of the zoo at some point?
I am on May 11th, I think. It's a live district virtual tour of the zoo.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be walking around with my MiFi connection and my phone. So hopefully it will work out well.
Okay. Michael DePlane tried to do one of those at the garden this week, and I think it was really well received. So hopefully, you can share that information once it's all settled in the timing, and we'll make sure that all the members can get online to watch and participate in that.
Yeah, I saw Michael's. I thought it worked out well too.
Yeah. As with everything, there's always a few little glitches that sometimes happen that you have to, think about. But for the most part, I think people like the opportunity to do those kinds of things.
Right, for sure.
Yeah. And you've been doing video clips on your website so that people can, do some touring. And I notice your staff are talking they were talking about some semangs. Those are long-armed. What are they?
They're a lesser ape, the siamangs. So they're
Yeah.
they're the largest gibbon species, the siamang. And I think they're part of our virtual voyage from last week, but you can go to virginiazoo.org, go to our Facebook page and see a lot of those great videos.
Okay, great. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I wanted to know what you named the baby sloth.
The name was just named today. The name is Trey, and the name was chosen because the person that bought the name, who's a successful business person, had ADHD when he was a kid, or maybe still does, and that his uncle used to bring him to the zoo to burn off some of his energy, and he always liked the more unusual animals at the zoo. I think he said spiders, okapi, sloths. And so he named the sloth after that uncle that used to bring him to the zoo. We just got that story this morning.
That's wonderful. Anyone else?
I have a question.
Yes.
So I've seen where other zoos and maybe ours have taken the animals on like a little walkabout to see what's out there. Since the people aren't there, have our animals gotten to take little tours?
Yes, it's pretty funny. Our miniature zebu cows, which are adorable, and our pigs and our sheep have moved around the zoo on their leashes with keepers and met all the animals. So it's lots of fun to watch because the zebras and the giraffe they're all just surprised, who's that? And they've also been able to graze. We've got 50 acres here. A lot of it's in the bright sun with great grass. So they get to lounge in those grassy areas and graze, and it really is magical for those animals. And what it does for us too is it desensitizes them more. So when visitors are here, we can walk them among the visitors. But I'll tell you one thing that was, for me, I'm a bird person, my favorite thing my whole life. We have these screamers, which are these really unusual birds, are really Dr. Seuss birds, or look like a cross between a turkey and a hawk. They're most related to ducks. But the crows, without visitors here at our bistro, they have a nest of 3 eggs in the zoo farm. We have a group of crows that have always loved being around our restaurants at our bistro. So visitors will generally feed them. They even take napkins out of the napkin holders to line their nests. Well, there's no people here to either feed the crows or shush them away. And just last week, those crows scared the screamers off their nest and ate their eggs. So because there's no policing of the crows, you can imagine, right? So we have foxes, raccoons, all those things running around after hours at the zoo. But when there's no one here, meaning visitors, they're definitely, everything's more bold. But yeah, those crows chased the birds off the nest after 2 weeks of incubation and stole those eggs. So it's a different kind of place right now.
Wonderful. One final question, anyone?
What's the name of the baby sloth?
It's Trey, Trey. And then we had 2 bongos born. We're expecting 2 giraffe births in the coming weeks. And the bongos, they're voting on names on our website now.
That's wonderful.
It's interesting, even out in the neighborhoods, we have seen a red fox and her kit, and we had a duck nest that had 6 eggs in it, and I think the fox family made good use of those eggs because they disappeared. But they're getting quite bold because you can see them just walking down the street and hanging out, and nature abounds.
Yeah, even during the day, we've seen them. Yeah.
Greg, it's so sad to hear about the screamers' eggs being lost. Will they breed again this year?
Yeah, they have time. Last year, they nested, actually, their nest hatched in June. So it wouldn't be unusual for that. Most birds will do that. If they lose the clutch, they'll re-nest.
That's great. Well, thank you very much, Greg. I really appreciate you doing this with us today. It was, I think it's a good start for us venturing out into the virtual world and joining you. We miss seeing you, and as we miss seeing everyone. So we will have a book in your honor that we will get at some point, but I can't get into the office to do that today. So.
Oh, well, thank you. Thanks.
And thank you very much for doing that. I see that you've actually been able to acquire some funds. So some of the Rotarians are online sort of making some donations, both to Happy Bucks and perhaps to the zoo. So we thank you, Rotarians, for that.
Yes.
All right. Okay. One final thing. I wore my polio shirt today because we won't be having a ball game next week, but keep that in mind. You've continued to be generous, as I think you saw in my update this week. We've continued to operate. So if you have questions or my updates don't answer your questions, please don't hesitate to reach out and contact me or any other board member. They can answer those questions for you. I was trying to see for each one of you who wasn't wearing a pin. So if you don't mind, just send an email over to Lisa with your name, or to Sally, and she'll record all of you who don't have a pin on today, so I can continue to gather some Happy Bucks. Is there anyone that would like to contribute today?
President Lorna, I would like to contribute. Yes, I don't have my pin on, and so I will contribute. I couldn't even hide it with the scarf that I don't have it on. But I would like to thank you personally for keeping us so well connected as a club, and your communication has been incredible and have truly, I don't know, I don't, even though we're all remote and we're not able to gather, I feel so connected with the club through your communications and through your Zooms and all of that, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate it, and I will make a donation once I get off of this, and I will include my $5 for not having a pin. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Lisa. I really appreciate that. That's nice. It's been fun for me too. I mean, it's a strange experience. It's not the way I wanted to, conclude my presidency. However, it's been a unique experience, and there are so many Rotarians out there. It's not just me. The board has stepped up. Rotarians have stepped up. Anytime I've asked somebody to do something, somebody's done it. So it's been a wonderful experience, and we will continue further. So, and again, we all send our condolences to you on the loss of your mother-in-law, and we do the same to Joe Massey, and we do the same to Sharon Lederberg. So we wish that we could offer more comfort than that, but just know that we're thinking about you, and that someday we'll meet again. Any final words, anyone, before I close? Thank you, Bob Healy, for singing.
When's our next meeting?
We'll have another meeting next week, and I think we're gonna do it with a little bit of a birthday celebration for the Rotarians that have birthdays. But I think I'll set up another one for next week.
Madam President, I did in the chat box put a request, can we have a mailing address?
Okay, sure. I can send that to you. Lisa's online. She'll send that to you, Baranu.
Thank you, Mike.
Hey, Lorna?
Yes.
Lorna, it's
yes.
Bob. I just wanted to send out a message to Jim Kitts. I hope he's still on there. with my sadness of the cancellation of the international convention in Honolulu, because I hope he was looking forward to that, because it's a great opportunity.
It is. It was. We feel sad about that too. Maybe we'll have to have a Hawaiian party when we get back together.
There you go.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate that.
Yes, sir. You've probably already been there being an Army officer, but.
It's
Anyway.
one of my favorite places, but you know, it's good we were able to use some of that money, I think, to do some good around here.
Absolutely. Well, my condolences.
Hey, let me just say to Jim Kitts, that's a very handsome Corona beard.
We've been bugging him about that. Anyway, with that, I'm going
Thanks,
to adjourn
Pam.
the meetings. So thank you very much, everybody. There was over 50 people here at one point. So that's pretty good. I hope you enjoyed your lunch, and we'll see you again next week. And if you have any advisement or recommendations, send them forward. And with that, I adjourn.
Thank you, Lorna.
Thanks, Lorna.
Bye.
Thanks, Lorna.